I started this hardcore world nearly 4 years ago, and with that we have survived over 10,500 days in this world without dying. And throughout that time, I've been able to create some really cool build projects that bring me so much joy as a creator, and I hope they've brought you some joy as well. Today, we begin a new project that I've been working up to for well over a year. I never really felt confident in my ability to deliver on my vision for this project, until now. This is the medieval city of Path that I've spent over 2 years building. And since I started the project, people have been asking me to build a castle or palace on top of it. That never quite fit the vibe I want here. I love foliage in Minecraft and making spaces that live alongside the nature of the world. So what better way to top off the city than to build a university themed around plants, the Foliage University. You can enroll today for the 2025 class at the Foliage University and pick up the new university hoodie. This is available for a limited time only through the link in the description, so be sure to pick up one of these awesome Foliage University sweatshirts that I'm extremely excited to share with all of you to commemorate the building and opening of the school. Also, to celebrate launching the merch and my birthday, today, August 7th through the end of midnight, August 10th, I'm offering a 10% off early bird sale. The Foliage University is not a real university, but you can hang out in streams and I can give you some build tips and stuff for Foliage, so please buy my merch, thank you. And we'll even be planting a tree IRL with every order. Help us plant a Foliage University forest in the real world. This is one of those projects that's been stewing in the back of my brain for an extremely long time, which makes me extremely excited for it, but also means it's a big project. So we're first starting off with a trip into the new Wither skeleton farm to repair up all of my tools and set in for the grind. I need well over 10,000 blocks to build up today's part of the university, and that first starts with a huge amount of stripped logs. So we're stopping by a dark oak forest that I plan to tear out eventually for another project that is stewing in my brain. So I'll help future fWhip out a little bit here by removing some of the trees and even some of the big spruce trees in the mega taiga next door. I did find a lush cave right underneath all of this, and how can I be building a Foliage University if I'm not taking every opportunity to gather up small drip leaf? It's essential to foliage builds near water, and it's stupidly hard to get, which means about 30 minutes of running around a cave resulted in a little over 20 small drip leaf. Putting that aside, there's a pale garden nearby that I stripped and chopped a ton more trees down. Thankfully, that was most of the log stripping that I had to do today. Just a few more back in the lumber mill, then I got to work on crafting down all of the other different wooden materials that I could get from within my storage room here on the cliffside, which is starting to unfortunately run pretty dry in certain wood types like jungle. So I made a quick trip out west near my most recent castle build to chop down quite a few of the large jungle trees out here to just get some more logs for the storage room. Now this one, I am a little ashamed of it just being plopped into the world with no design around it, but I need mangrove logs, so I sat at the farm underground for a few minutes. Walking out of the side gate of the city, I next went into the quarry, doing so many super fun and engaging things, not definitely just opening up chest after chest to craft and put things into shulker boxes inside of the storage room again. No, definitely not. Surprisingly, that's actually most of what I needed to put together today, so that is great. Next, I need to get some villager trading done, which I need emeralds to do. And we have a new cleric villager trading hall set up in Tough Hall, so I made a quick trip first out to my copper farm to pick up all the remaining shulkers of rotten flesh to bring back home. Now, this isn't the best trade here, but hey, it does get us emeralds, and I have so much rotten flesh that at this point it doesn't really matter. I can at least use them for something instead of them just filling up storage rooms for no reason. Sure, a whole shulker is only 64 emeralds, but that's fine. Totally fine. For a byproduct of a farm that I really don't use, that turned into 3 free stacks of emeralds that I didn't have before, and it was a material that I was just throwing into lava beforehand, so that's great. With a quick trip down into the villager trading cave, all of those emeralds I just got are going right back to different villagers so that I can buy a ton of bricks. That right there should do the trick. Now my deep slate supply is looking a little rough, And the tough supply is not looking much better. Time to jump into the mine. Before I can get into crafting some more blocks, I need to mine up the raw materials. To do that, so I went down into the deep slate layers and started mining around to find a tough blob so I could tackle 2 stones with 1 pickaxe and cross a ton of items off my list. So I have kind of a stupid rule in this world, is where if I find a blob of tough, I have to mine the entire thing. And oh, this one was so big. Went all the way back into here, which means I now have a shulker and a half of tough blocks, and oh, I'm so happy. Yeah, that right there makes me feel much better. A little less happier now, but all of the tough and deep slate stuff are now crafted down. I was headed over to the foliage storage area, and a little side note here, I've recently installed a mod. Oh, wow, laggy. I recently installed a mod called Voxy that's like an alternative to Distant Horizons, and just look at that. It's kind of still generating the world, so I'm getting some lag spikes, but we can see all the way to New Papyrus, the landscape up there. We can see Tough Hall over there. The cartographer village is right out there. And oh, it's so cool. I can see my entire world where everywhere I've built in one render distance, and I'm still getting like 60 solid FPS, and I'm in the city where I would like to pick up a few flowers that we can use for some decoration. And it is the Foliage University build day, so we have to include a few custom trees. Finally down to the last few items that I need to grab, as we can soon get into the building process, which is going to be great. But I ran out of light gray candles, so I'm over here at one of the oldest farms in this world, the honeycomb farm, that has been out of shears for thousands of days, and I'm just slowly going through these chests until it gets fully empty, and then I'll restock it. But those bees are just kind of chilling in there. Anyways, I need a bunch of candles and light gray candles. We'll just grab a whole stack, as I do go through these very quickly. Outside of that, we can make a trip to World Spawn, where people did mention that apparently my brown mushrooms have been getting out, as these dudes are super rare. I don't want to lose them. We can't really get weather in this world, so if they die, I can't get more. But they look to be safe, minus the zombie. We said in the world download, there's a brown mushroom on top of the mountain up here, but I don't see it, so I'm gonna assume it's okay. But I needed to make a quick trip over here, as we can go down into the mushroom storage, as I need more brown mushroom blocks and mushroom stems, but we are out of brown mushroom. Oh no. Well, there should be a few grown up over here. Yeah, perfect. Well, I only needed a little over a stack, so I guess we can restock a bit on it. And everything else I can just throw into the creek here, and that'll take it down into the storage room. A few more errands done, and there are just 3 more items I need before we can get started building. Dead brain and tube coral blocks and calcite. The coral, thankfully, is pretty easy to get, as New Papyrus is surrounded by coral reefs, but going off to find calcite provided to be a much longer journey out into the world to find the Stony Peaks biome. I'm realizing now it would have been so much quicker just to find a geode and mine up the calcite around that, but I've made it all the way out here, and I'm just gonna mine up everything that I can. It's also the smallest strip of calcite. It's just there to back here. Stonemason villagers should really sell this block. And there goes all of it, and even fill up my inventory. Time to make the very, very long trip home that now I can see all the way back to the tree. That seems so extremely far away. That's so cool being able to see all the way over there though. Oh, I love this mod. Everything is now gathered up, and the bonus calcite has been put away, so we can start laying out all of the different shulker boxes here to start actually building up this section of the university with the university street. Oh, I'm so excited to finally get started on this. There's just a few boxes here. Okay, quick distraction first, as I only have a stack of firework rockets left. I'm not too hopeful on this one, but I'm mostly just curious. After all the time that we spent building the villager trading hall out here, did the firework factory work at all? I think I was probably too far away for it to be able to actually spawn creepers in, but maybe 6 rockets. Man, that's just insulting. I would rather it have had 0. Surely with all the time we spent in the nether, the gas farm produced some gunpowder, right? Ah, yes it did. That's enough. Perfect. I plan to build a ton of buildings today, but we currently don't have ground to walk on. So I want to start with first building the road up towards the university entrance. This did unfortunately limit space on one side of the street, so we don't have room for more buildings over here, but I still want to block off the view, so I added a small wall. I do still want access back there though, so I'm adding in an archway out of tuff to help it feel more like you're transitioning between two parts of the city. With all of that sorted, I want to start at the bottom of the road and work my way back up with more buildings. Right next door to our student housing building, I want to add in something that could have a shop on the first floor and living space up above, going for an almost black and white theme with the contrast between our pale oak, dark oak framing, and then the deep slate roof. I think in combination with the other buildings, this one actually fits in pretty well. Behind it, however, is currently floating like 10 blocks above the ground, so I'm adding a retaining wall and flattening the space behind for a little park. Before we can get to that, however, I want to finish framing the street with a sort of warehouse turn home as a diagonal on the corner. Right in between these two buildings, we have this great little alleyway where I want to create a quiet place within the city for the university students to find a moment of peace under a big oak tree. Benches, plants, leaf litter, and flowers all added in, and this is looking so special back here. I am super happy with how it has turned out. We even got some firefly bushes in for some fun particles going around because we have the leaves blocking them. But man, this is just making me fall in love with leaf litter. Also added a single glow lichen in here that should help keep it a little bit safer, but I could happily spend quite a few hours just chilling in a place like this. Oh, it's so fun. Oh, I really love that. We got some candles over here to help spawn proof the rest of this, just for a little bit of light. You can go out this little gate here with the iron bars, and then we've got house number 1 and warehouse house number 2 right over here that I think is also looking pretty solid. One, maybe 2 more houses that should be able to block this view completely from seeing just the open back of the wall there. And then we start to turn the corner where the slope of this road going up, it just makes me so happy, really feeling like we're growing consistently upward. The elevation is consistently changing, but it's not too steep. It's like every 4 or 5 blocks we're going up a half slab. For our next building over here, I've already added a little platform right in front, and then I was thinking we go into our grays using some light gray wool and a lot of our corals in here just to get something a little bit different than what we've been doing already as well. That was all like our reds and our browns with our brick and our mud brick and everything, and then over here we just get a little bit more fun. For the front entry point of this one, I'm trying to go for a lot of variety here so we can have this guy coming in. We'll move into a second floor about this point, so there'll be some wood logs sticking out. But I was thinking for our windows, we could just do something like that. And then can I squeeze this in? Probably right back here will work. Yeah, I really like that like recessed window in there with the copper grate. I think it makes it a little bit darker too, which is fun. And because I can, we're just gonna throw another one of them in right here. Yeah, that looks good. I've added in the rest of the wall going around for the first floor of this one, and I had a little bit of space back here, so I brought in some more grass blocks to extend it all the way back along, as I don't want any of the buildings touching the wall exactly, except for the one going right here that we'll be building next. As well, it's related to the city guard. But so that this isn't a full like shock to the system for everything else that we've been building, I wanted to go with our stripped dark oak again so it matches along that first building, so we have some similarities between the builds. I lied. I literally just said I don't want buildings touching the wall, then decided last minute to extend this one out another block, and bam, right into the wall we go. But it's fine. It looks great for the whole build, and nobody's gonna notice. See, from the side that we'll actually see it from, you can't even tell that it touches the wall at the back. There's gonna be a building here around that door soon that'll block it off even further, and there's a little alley underneath, so it's not fully connecting, so it's totally fine. Now, I should mention that the interiors of these buildings are all completely empty, and that is on purpose. I will soon be uploading all of these builds to my supporter server, as I've done with every other part of the City of Path, so that community members can complete the interiors, and I can help give build advice and coach them along throughout the process to share a little bit more of my building knowledge in a one-on-one setting. I try to share as much as I can when I'm making these videos, but sometimes you can't get everything across, and I personally have actually had a really fun time working with people to help develop the interiors for the city buildings here. It's been super fun, so I hope everybody who has had the opportunity and given it a chance has been having some fun with it too. Moving into this next building here, I want to create a little bit of a fence using our iron bars along this section, as we're going to be building a small little guard outpost connected into the tower just to give them a little bit more of a presence for the city guard in this area, as they don't really have a whole lot of presence throughout the city in general, so I gotta add a little bit here and there. This style here is a very, very old style for the world, something that I built a million times over, so we're just gonna add a little chimney right up here so we can get a little bit of movement with smoke, as I didn't really do that throughout any other ones, and I haven't added a chimney in for this guy. I just realized we'll get that when the interior gets sorted out. But here in the front, it's looking pretty solid, really, really dirty and making it look older and kind of crumbled down. And then we got our mud brick with that little spruce, a little like weapon rack or something. And with a few more details thrown around, I think that'll do it for the front of the shack that we have over here. I need a little greenery in this section, maybe some tables out here, get some scaffolding and our oak stairs. I do need a light back here so we can just throw some candles, but that should do it. There's 4 new buildings in here now, with also a little bit of greenery here next to our little guard outpost added in. And I think it's time for a little bit of a side project, as I gotta plant a field. I have been waiting for so long to plant in these fields around the lake. I always knew it was going to happen one day when I started working on this new university project and entered into the next era of this hardcore world, and dang, it feels good to finally start working on this region. Maybe you've been waiting for a long time to subscribe to see if it's worth it, or it's your first time here. Hi, I'm fWhip. Welcome to my Minecraft world. Would you consider subscribing? I'd really appreciate it. Thank you for the support, as we have a new allium field here in the meadow biome next to the university. I cannot wait to walk along this bridge when the university is all finished. Man, it is going to look so cool. But I really, really love especially the pop of alliums in here. I'd planned to put these in, and then I looked back over here and I was like, oh, it's an allium in oxide daisy meadow and a little cornflower over there, so that's perfect. It's in exactly with the vibe of the space already. Look at me go. Minus the growing mess of shulker boxes around here, the street up to the university is starting to look very, very cool, and might honestly be one of my favorite points in the entire city. I'm really trying to add more depth in here instead of just using the houses as like pseudo walls to keep people walking on the streets. I think this helps to create a much more full environment to want to explore around, instead of just feeling like you're going from point A to point B along a certain path. Even with this much more classic house style that we have coming in here for this latest structure, I think it still helps draw some interest to this smaller one, almost looking like the house from Up, just a little tiny guy between 2 bigger ones here with our guard shack, but I like it a lot. They've even got a little balcony right up there, which I added a pale oak leaf to help make that pop out a little bit more. We've got a lot of our glowberries hanging over there, and a bunch of little details showing that this could be a really cool shop on the inside. Maybe a way to get down to those farms in there too, because I'm kind of burying them. But that leads us over to this next street building here that I'm very, very happy with. I wanted to throw a few glowberries hanging in here and some dark oak fences to run up behind that. But I really like the layout for this one. I randomly added in a bit of a flooring pattern, so you can see we have one staircase going up right here, but there's a second door over here that the person could use as like a secondary door to an apartment that gets you up to this top level. I'm trying to think of more ways that we could have people living in here, so we can divide it up like this. So this could be a small little student apartment here, and then the person who actually operates the shop or whatever down there has this side, and they're collecting a little rent as some bonus income for being able to house a student. Now you can see the little bit of the red pattern I have going on here already, which I like a lot. I think it's super, super fun. And then to kind of just make it a little bit more bland for the windows, they're just going to be light gray. And for our darkest red tone, we have our netherrack, but with a little pop of green here of a fern, we can make this into something really cool. Going with one big window on that side, and just for the variety's sake, I like to mix it up. So over here, we're going to have 2 windows on this one, and if I can jump over, middle mouse click the netherrack to grab that in our hand and just fill this in here. Yeah, that should do it. And then so we can have a little bit more space, since we don't have a whole lot of living space right just in here with the shop on the first floor. We can just extend this up another layer. Peaked up the last floor a little bit more so it has an extra few blocks of height, and that is gonna do it. We just need a roof on this one. Okay, and other walls, but that's easy to throw in. And then we can toss on a lighter toned roof to finish this building. I'm outside the walls right now, and seeing the buildings poking out above feels like a huge accomplishment. Like we're finally filling in the massive space I created behind the walls in between the tree. Sure, we've done everything outside of it, but it has always felt a little bad that there's just this huge blank open space there and here that we're finally tackling. Now we have roof going this way, this way, this way, and then we have a sideways. This one is straight on the road, and this one is straight on the road. And so I think I want to swap it again to be going horizontal with the road. I've also cleared out 4 shulker boxes of materials completely already, so it's getting to be a little bit easier, as none of the things I want are actually in there. But I thought we could do a brick, dripstone, and granite, terracotta, and maybe a little mud base to this guy. I want the base of this one to be very heavily out of dripstone and our light gray terracotta that we have, and then we're gonna do a little bit of mud in here too, just to help texture along it. But then right above, before we go into the next layer, just create a tiny bit of a lip here. I want to bring some of our mud brick stairs and extend them along, making sure that we cut off that corner, which gives us a little bit better of a frame as we move into an upper floor. And we've got space for a small little like seating area in here and maybe some storage. Yeah, that right there looks pretty cool for the doorway. As we move into the next layer here, we can go into our brick and our granites and the terracotta. And then I was thinking we could add this little bar thing. I know it's kind of a futuristic-y detail, but I thought it kind of fit in here. More something that you typically see in a cyberpunk area, but I think that's a-okay. And then we can work on our little window. Ooh, actually, no. I want to flip these back here, put a flower pot in there, get ourselves another spruce trapdoor, and top it with a note block. And then a little campfire here. Yeah, that looks like a pretty cool window. 3 windows across, and that's even better. Took the walls all the way around, and I guess I missed some blocks on the corners, but that's fine. We've got stair stepping all the way up to the top with our oak planks, and I want to do a gradient on the roof where we're going to go from our tough brick stairs into tough stairs, mossy cobblestone stairs, mossy stone brick stairs, and then we get into our regular cobblestone stairs, kind of a dark to light with a little bit of that green tint in the middle, as I think it's just gonna be really cool for this whole thing. Topped off with our cobblestone slabs up here and progressing back downwards. This is looking pretty good. It wasn't tall enough to throw any windows along the back, so it's pretty bare, just texturing here. But I did squeeze 2 windows into the roof itself just to get a little bit of light from this side when the sun is setting over there, I believe. No, the sun rises over there and sets over there. Right. You think I'd know that by now. And then we got just 1 window here on the front, but that looks pretty good for the house. I think that's a pretty sweet one. So I've built another one. We've got a big boy right over here, as we are now pretty much at the top before we're going to move into more of a plaza style area, entering into the university gate itself, which is going to be somewhere right in here. Just imagine big old university. Yeah. Totally, right there. But I like this one a lot. We got kind of that white and or gray scale contrast in here with our dark oak and a little bit of mangrove for the like wood framing of the whole thing. And then I did add a lot of leaves and just greenery onto this one. I really love having the hanging signs coming down here just for some color, and then a flower pot at the bottom I thought was really cool. Kind of I was like, hey, look at me over here, fun vibes. And then you can enter in through this checkered floor pattern, which would go into the house where there's another little back door out there, or it could lead you up this way, where originally I was planning to start the gardens going all the way around the plaza for this, but I would like to bring buildings up on that side. And I think this space in here, you can see I've carved out a diagonal section instead of having grass in it, that I think we can throw a building in here that would make a little bit more sense. Something a bit smaller and the same theme as the walls, so it doesn't feel like another big wow thing just filling the space. So all these plant potters here along the road, I'd originally want to do these big canopy of trees, like covering over like massive oak trees that would just cover the entire road. As you walk up the street, you're feeling like you're in a forest. But I'm worried it would kind of ruin the atmosphere and the sightline of the university. So should we try the trees, or should we maybe try some like little shrubberies or something in here? Regardless, this building is looking pretty good over here. I added a little garden space around the edge. You can see just kind of inching back here to mob proof it, mostly by placing in all of the leaves. And again, more firefly bushes. Avoiding the planter boxes for now, I do know of a few details that I do want to add in here, like some tables and chairs around just for some seating here. Two should do the trick. As next, I want to create a little market stall of sorts where they might be selling some drinks. Just a little like lean-to type thing in here. Not too sure what to call it, but I think it gets the idea across. But ooh, I need some glass bottles. Thankfully, I have some plain glass around, so we can just make a few. Let's see, if they're empty, do they still have the red? They do. Oh, perfect. Gotta make them look loaded. One more detail along this side as the sun is setting. It just felt too bare, and I had a lot of these extras left over, so we've got a little garden going up along the edge. Something that maybe one of the students maintains, but I was seeing this, and I was seeing how bare and empty it is, minus our little fireflies back here, so I think I need to do a little side project from the street and finish out this corner of the dwarven area with like a workshop or something. I think it'd be pretty cool. I fixed up the floor back here and added in a little bit of foliage along, and I'm thinking a covered space back over in this point, a forge here with like an iron pile and some firewood over there, and then probably a small well back here with some seating just to fill in this open space. But I think that'll do it. I do need a quick detour, however, as well. My flint and steel's almost broken and I can't lose that. Yeah, I'm at that point of the Minecraft world, okay? But more importantly, the elytra's almost broken, and that's my last bit of food. 41 durability on it. Yeah, we can make it down to the wither skeleton farm. Good to know. It takes 5 durability to get from up there to here. I'll keep that in mind for the future. And here they come. Oh, I still love this farm. So satisfying. I'm gonna keep talking about it. I'm definitely gonna keep talking about it. Everything I had on me is fully repaired up, and we can head back out the top to the side. You pick up a few stacks of pork chops. I probably should keep more than 3 stacks on me, but it's kind of all I have space in there. That's fine. 4 stacks of food, yeah, it'll get me through it. A good 30 minutes of resource gathering later, we are good to get building again. Which, getting right back into it, I set up the well with some tough and dark oak, the covered area with some storage racks out of acacia for just more color, and lastly, I took a forge design I used down in the harbor and plopped it up here ready for smelting. There is a lot of brown back here, but I think it works out pretty well with the other pops of color that we have in throughout. It's really giving a workyard vibe. I don't really know what these are doing up here, but I just thought they were kind of cool. Some dwarven decoration-y thing. I also added in this cart right over here so that we just had something along the road. And I think it's a cool contrast as you go from here. Also the storage rack, which will be leaning up against a building that'll be right in here shortly. And then we just come out to this street. The vibe from here to the back road is so different now. I really, really love the contrast. We see a big wide street and a dirty little side street full of stuff. Speaking of stuff, I need more stuff. Hopefully all of the extra material gathering I did earlier will be able to get me through this, as I need to run around my storage rooms again to pick up some more blocks, as I've decided last minute to finish the far side of the street with 2 more buildings. Of course, a quick stop for some stripping of logs in the lumber mill, and I have got nearly everything else together. I just need to make a quick trip down into the villager trading cave, as I need more brick blocks. I feel like I spend more time down here than I care to admit. Right, there we go. That's another 5 stacks, which I'm hoping is gonna be enough. I mean, it overflows the shulker. It has to be enough, right? Why do I need so many boxes of stuff to do anything? My list of emotional support shulker boxes I take with me to every single project is growing by a lot. Like, there's so much stuff that I bring with me everywhere. I think I really just need like a reset on the ender chest storage system, as I bring all of those out every single time. But that sounds really terrifying to actually do. Sounds like a lot of time invested, and I don't really want to do it. Any trapdoors want to age down? No, still waiting on those. Still waiting on those. The next house here I have expanded to include a basement space by default into a full first story out of stone, before adding a dark oak trim and some oak and jungle walls to finish off the second floor in a kind of bit of a warmer tone. And okay, I got a little carried away here, and I've built a garden area in the back and the facade of a building just to block the ugly face of the cliff that I had carved out in here. You will finish it later, but it looks pretty nice for now. Back here in the garden though, we've got a little bit of a well, which is super cool. We've got an area leading into another house that we're gonna wrap up here soon. And then they just got some storage in the chimney of that guy. We got some clothes hanging across with our banners, and they've got a staircase that can lead them up into the second floor of this home, which I thought was pretty fun. And they've got a nice little seating area, some storage, all that stuff, a few little plants in here because why not? But more importantly, down here we have the basement with a little view in from there. I thought was pretty cool. And this guy is gonna need a lot of love eventually, but for now, I need it as a way to get down here to be able to access all of those farms. We're about to cover them up completely, so I want to do that. And then, no, I wanted to have it flip that way. No? Why you no flip to other side of block? Aha! Nailed it. The reason I'm doing that is so that when it's closed, it's technically open and zombies won't be able to break it. But then we can just use that for now to be able to get here, as eventually we'll turn this into like a cool catacomb or something where we have access to all of the different farms in here. But I didn't want to lose access to them when we fill in the rest of this. But here's the front of the house. I really like the dark oak signs going in here, then the looms up above that. And then on this corner, we threw in a little bit of light gray concrete powder, as I've done throughout the city and a lot of other points. And I just thought it was a really cool way to kind of finish off that corner of the street. But speaking of finishing off the corner of the street, we've got this guy right over here. I think being right on the corner here, this has to be some sort of a shop. So I want to do like a big window that people can use to view inside. For right here, as if I build up the rest of the wall, and I want to go every other on the corner is going to be a tough brick just to give that some more support. Stacked it up another few more times and threw some walls in just to give it a little bit of more angular something to it. I thought was kind of cool. Give it a little bit more decorative shapes, and then we can go into there. But I think that's a really cool base for the building. Rest of our base walls are now in place, and I've snuck a little side walkway along here that'll make more sense later on. But we're gonna have a small courtyard in the back. And this grass is not supposed to be growing, but I'll fix that later, because I want to work on this upper section for now, where I want to put some extra support beams in this one. I think it'd look kind of cool, and so we can just do something right up to here-ish. And then you can see the cherry in my inventory that I want to use for the actual walls, but I would like to, for our windows, recess back some copper grates right in here. I thought could be kind of cool. Then we can give them a little flower pot out in front. As we move into the next floor, which is just going to be a little guy right up here to the top roof that'll keep coming up in this direction, so that we don't have to send a whole nother full thick line of our spruce going across. We're instead just going to use some signs as a little support going along horizontally. Wrap that one up, but it is looking really cool. I think it's got a lot of contrast going into the roof, but I think with like the maroony color we have off the nether brick and the pink, it actually works pretty well together. And I finished up that little side route. You can see it's just this little tiny guy. We'll have some garden space up here as we lead into the university itself. And then I finished off in the back. Here's looking pretty good. The roof itself, we got our nether brick on the outside. Then we're going into our blackstone and blackstone bricks right in here, which I thought was really cool. Hit a little glow lichen to spawn proof it as we need. And we've got another window right over here. And that finishes off this small little garden space along the back too. I think that's really cute back in here. Something we won't really see fully unless we're like walking along this road. But you still get the idea that there is a space up there as you're moving around on the street, and I think that's just super fun. But now we've been skirting around the edge of falling off this for long enough. I think it's time to finally build the plaza. You may remember last episode, I built up this tree mosaic in the floor of the city street. Well, I'd like to repeat that same idea here with the trunk of a tree leading into the university and the leaves flaring out to be the edge of our plaza right in here. So for that, I'm gonna need a lot of our coppers, as we need to go with this like bricky color instead of the regular stone that we did before. We'll still use some mossy cobble for some extra green pops. We're definitely gonna need a lot of brick for this thing, and our mud brick as well. This one is a little harder to see, but I'm trying to use dripstone and mud brick for the trunk and branches, then our coppers and mossy cobblestone as the leaves around the edge. Then to finish off the space, I want to add in two small smaller pillars on either side with an acacia sapling in it. And then to start the university, we have a few extra details going in. As a sweet little teaser, the start of the university steps are coming in right here. That will lead directly into the school, but over here, I really like how this has come together. I think it'd be a lot cleaner to see if it was flat, but you know, you can still get the idea of our trunk coming up and then the branches going off in a few different directions, and I just think it's really cool. I love the green that we get throughout the edge, and of course on the map it doesn't look like a tree at all, but it kind of looks like a tree. Not quite as tree as the first one, but still tree-ish, and I am happy to settle for tree-ish. I am so happy with how all of these new buildings have turned out today, finishing off University Street as the last project holding me back from beginning the university itself that will be resting here high above the cliffs as a palace turned school. As obviously a school is so much more important than a palace for a city. I hope you're excited for the mini-series within the hardcore world, as we're not stopping until this thing is done. Be sure to check out the new Foliage University merch if you haven't already, and join the class of 2025 at the university, link in the description. We're going to have schools for farming, floristry, arboristry, mycomancy, and hydroponics. Let me know what classes you're signing up for in the comments down below, and it's time for me to get to work on the main gate.